Hello and welcome to the Indian Polity Complete series for UPSC SSC and other government exams. Let's start this session with the very first topic: Constitutional Framework, the Company Rule, 1773 to 1858, Historical Background 1600, British arrive as traders, East India Company, EIC. 1765, EIC gains Diwani, revenue/civil justice rights, of Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa, becoming a territorial power. 1858, British Crown assumes direct rule after the Sepoy Mutiny, First War of Independence. 1947, India gains independence, Constitution formed in 1946, effective January 26, 1950. Focus: examining the key acts of the British rule that laid the foundation for India's constitutional and political system. The Company Rule, 1773 to 1858, 1. Regulating Act of 1773. Significance: first step by the British government to control and regulate EIC affairs. Laid the foundation for central administration in India. Key features: designated Governor of Bengal as Governor-General of Bengal, first, Lord Warren Hastings. Created a 4-member executive council to assist him. Made Bombay and Madras presidencies subordinate to Bengal. Established Supreme Court at Calcutta, 1774, 1 Chief Justice plus 3 judges. Prohibited EIC servants from private trade, accepting presents/bribes. Strengthened British government control via the Court of Directors reporting on revenue, civil, and military affairs. 2. Amending Act of 1781, Act of Settlement, purpose, to rectify defects of the 1773 Act. Key features: exempted GG and council, and company servants, from Supreme Court jurisdiction for official acts. Excluded revenue matters from Supreme Court jurisdiction. Supreme Court to administer the personal law of the defendant, Hindu/Muslim law. Appeals from provincial courts went to the Governor-General in Council, not the Supreme Court. 3. Pitt's India Act of 1784. Significance: established a system of double government. EIC territories first called British possessions in India. Key features: distinguished commercial, managed by Court of Directors, and political functions. Created a new body, Board of Control, to manage political affairs. Board of Control empowered to supervise all civil, military, and revenue operations. Charter Acts 4. Act of 1786 granted the Governor-General, GG, power to override his council's decision in special cases. The designation of Commander-in-Chief. Lord Cornwallis appointed. 5. Charter Act of 1793 extended the overriding power to all future GGS and governors. Extended EIC's trade monopoly for another 20 years. Members of the Board of Control and staff to be paid out of Indian revenues. 6. Charter Act of 1813 abolished EIC's trade monopoly in India, opened trade to British merchants. Exception: continued monopoly over trade in tea and trade with China. Asserted the sovereignty of the British Crown over EIC territories. Allowed Christian missionaries to preach. Provided for the spread of Western education. Towards centralization. 7. Charter Act of 1833 final step towards centralization in British India. Key features: made the GG of Bengal the Governor-General of India, first, Lord William Bentinck. Vested all civil/military powers in him. Deprived Bombay/Madras governors of their legislative powers, GG of India given exclusive legislative powers. EIC became a purely administrative body, ceased to be a commercial body. Attempted to introduce open competition for civil servants, negated by Court of Directors. 8. Charter Act of 1853 last of the Charter Acts. Significant constitutional landmark. Key features: separated legislative and executive functions of the GGS Council. Established a separate Indian, Central, Legislative Council, mini parliament. Introduced an open competition system for selection/recruitment of civil servants. Macaulay Committee, 1854, appointed. Did not specify the period for EIC's rule, clear indication of possible termination. Introduced local representation in the Central Legislative Council, 4 out of 6 legislative members appointed by provincial govts. Conclusion: these acts incrementally transferred power from the EIC to the British Parliament. They laid the institutional and legal groundwork, Supreme Court, Central Administration, Legislative Council, for the future governance of India. Next phase, the Crown Rule, 1858 to 1947. Crown. The Crown Rule, 1858 to 1947. Lecture Notes. Government of India Act of 1858, the end of company rule. Context, enacted after the revolt of 1857, Sepoy Mutiny. Key action, abolished the East India Company. Transferred powers, territories, and revenues directly to the British Crown. Features, new title, Governor-General of India became the Viceroy of India, direct representative of the Crown. First Viceroy, Lord Canning. Abolished double government, ended the Board of Control and Court of Directors. New office, created Secretary of State for India, member of British Cabinet, responsible to Parliament, complete control over Indian administration. Advisory body, established a 15-member Council of India to assist the Secretary of State. Note, this act mainly improved the administrative machinery in England, it did not substantially change the system of government in India. 2 Indian Councils Acts, associating Indians, 1861, 1892, 1909, A Indian Councils Act of 1861. Significance, began representative institutions by associating Indians with the lawmaking process. Features, Viceroy nominated some Indians as non-official members of the expanded Legislative Council, example Raja of Benares, Maharaja of Patiala. Initiated decentralization, legislative devolution, by restoring legislative powers to Bombay and Madras presidencies. Introduced the portfolio system, Lord Canning, 1859, making a council member in charge of departments. Empowered the Viceroy to issue ordinances, life of 6 months, during emergencies. B. Indian Councils Act of 1892 increased non-official members in legislative councils, but retained official majority. Increased functions, gave power to discuss the budget and address questions to the executive. Limited and indirect provision for election, non-official members were nominated on the recommendation of certain bodies, example municipalities, district boards. See Indian Councils Act of 1909, Morley-Minto reforms, increased size of legislative councils, Central Council, 16 to 60 members. Retained official majority in the Central Council, but allowed non-official majority in provincial councils. Enlarged deliberative functions, members could ask supplementary questions, move resolutions on the budget. First time, association of Indians with the executive councils, Satyendra Prasad Sinha became the first Indian law member of the Viceroy's Executive Council. Communal electorate, introduced a system of separate electorate for Muslims, Muslim members elected only by Muslim voters. Lord Minto, father of communal electorate. 3 Government of India Act of 1919, Montagu-Chelmsford reforms, objective, 1917 Declaration gradual introduction of responsible government in India. Features, separation of subjects, demarcated and separated central and provincial subjects. Diarchy in provinces, divided provincial subjects into, transferred, administered by governor with ministers responsible to the legislature. Reserved, administered by governor and executive council without legislative responsibility. Experiment was largely unsuccessful. Bicameralism and direct elections, introduced for the first time at the center, Upper House, Council of State, Lower House, Legislative Assembly. Indian representation, 3 of the 6 Viceroy's Executive Council members, excluding C&C, were to be Indian. Extended communal representation, provided separate electorates for Sikhs, Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians, and Europeans. Established a Central Public Service Commission, 1926. Separated provincial budgets from the central budget. For Government of India Act of 1935, Second Milestone Linchpin Act, lengthy and detailed document, 321 sections, 10 schedules. Features, All India Federation, provided for a federation of provinces and princely states, never came into being as states did not join. Distribution of powers, 3 lists, federal 59, provincial 54, concurrent 36. Residuary powers with viceroy. Provincial autonomy, abolished diarchy in provinces. Introduced responsible governments, governor acted on advice of ministers responsible to legislature. Effective from 1937 to 1939. Diarchy at the center, provided for adoption of diarchy at the center, never implemented. Bicameralism in 6 provinces, Bengal, Bombay, Madras, Bihar, Assam, and UP. Further extended communal electorate, included depressed classes, SCS, women, and labor. Franchise, extended to about 10% of the total population. Established a Reserve Bank of India, RBI, Federal Court, 1937, and Public Service Commissions. The Indian Independence Act of 1947 context, followed the Mountbatten Plan, June 3, 1947, which accepted partition. Features, declared India an independent and sovereign state from August 15, 1947. Provided for the partition into 2 independent dominions, India and Pakistan. Abolished office of Viceroy, provided for a Governor-General for each dominion, appointed by the King on Dominion Cabinet's advice. Constituent assemblies of the dominions were empowered to frame and adopt any constitution and legislate for their respective territories. Lapse of British paramountcy over princely states, states free to join India, Pakistan, or remain independent. Dominions to be governed by the Government of India Act of 1935 until new constitutions were framed. End of British rule, power transferred at midnight, 14 to 15 August 1947. Lord Mountbatten became the first Governor-General of India. Jawaharlal Nehru became the first Prime Minister. Interim Government, 1946, First Cabinet of Free India, 1947, Jawaharlal Nehru, Vice President, EXT Affairs. Jawaharlal Nehru, Prime Minister, EXT Affairs. Sardar Patel, Home, INB. Sardar Patel, Home, INB, States. Liaquat Ali Khan, Finance. Dr. John Mathai, Railways and Transport. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, not in interim, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Law. Sardar Baldev Singh, Defense. Rajkumari Amritkaur, Health. Thank you for joining today's session. Remember, knowledge grows when shared. Stay inspired and keep learning.